Welcome to our Portuguese Table podcast. I'm Maria Lawton, the Azorean Green Bean.
And I'm Angela Simoes, and we're just two chicks dishing about Portuguese food, culture, and what it means to be Portuguese.
So grab a glass of vinho or un copo de café and join us as we talk about our favorite foods, reminisce about growing up Portuguese,
and interview some of our community's most successful chefs and food writers.
So sit down at our Portuguese table. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Portuguese table. Hi, Angela.
Hey, Maria. How are you?
I'm fine, honey. I'm fine. I'm real excited about today. We have I know. We both follow her, the page, the blog, the Facebook page, her Instagram, all of these wonderful things. And she talks about everything having to do with Portugal, which is one of our favorite topics. So I want everyone to meet Catarina. Catarina, hello.
Hi. Hi, Maria. Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, thanks for being here.
Welcome to our Portuguese table.
I'm so excited.
Now, not too long ago, I don't know, for those of you that follow our pages, Catarina was at my home not too long ago.
Yes, that was one of the kind of most unexpected, pleasant experiences I've ever had and I think I talk way too much about this in my blog, how welcoming and inviting and warm Maria's kitchen is and her home. So it was just amazing. I wasn't even expecting anything close to that. So
what's funny is I think as soon as she walked through my door, I started feeding her.
It wouldn't be a Portuguese home if that wasn't the case. Now, come on. So, Catarina, you've actually done something I haven't, because I've never been to Maria's house and she's never been to my house. But that's going to change. That's going to change in July, I think, when you're here, Maria, for sure, yes, in California. Yes. But I think, Maria, you and I have only actually been in the same room together once.
Right, in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
In Rhode Island.
Isn't that funny?
It is, because people go, depending on who it is, and I'll go, yeah. And they're like, oh, your partner at Portuguese table, Angela. And I'm like, Angela Simoes, oh, yes, this and that. And we'll talk. And like, they think like the two of us are like, in
like sitting next to each other.
Yes. In close proximity. And I'm like, no, Angela's out in California with her husband and family. I'm in Massachusetts with my husband and family. We have this amazing sound guy out in the Carolinas who, named Scott, who kind of helps us put all of this together. We're actually not at that same table, but we have been a long time ago in Rhode Island. Yeah, but that'll all change coming in July. But we'll save that for another podcast, but I'll be going out there.
No pressure, Angela, to serve up a feast, right?
Oh, my God. Well, I make no guarantees on, if I set fire to the stove or anything like that. I'll do my best.
There will be none of that. There will be none of that. It's all for fun. We're going to be out there. We're going to have fun. We're going to be recording and stuff. It will be all fun stuff. There'll be no pressure. But it's funny. It was like, it was just really nice. It was nice to have you here. And it was great to hear how you got started. And this is one of the reasons why, Angela and I were like, well, we've got to have her on our podcast because more people need to know about you. And they need to know about what you're doing and your page and your blog and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. I'll just add one thing to that, Maria. So, and for those who have been listening, know that Maria and I talk a lot about sort of living the dream, right? And going out and doing what you want and not just following the 9-to-5 rat race. And Catarina, I have to say, my husband and I look at your blog and we're like, this woman is like living our dream. Like she's doing exactly what we would love to do. I mean, she's writing all these wonderful things about Portugal and just traveling. And I mean, at least that's how it seems. So maybe you'll tell us exactly how you do it and what you do. But when we first found your blog, it was just like, oh my God, she's so like good for her. She's so lucky what she's doing. We're so envious. It's amazing. So, and I have to say the blog is beautiful. Like you've really done a really nice job with the website.
Thank you so much.
It is beautiful, because the thing with Angela and I, we see a lot of different blogs that come up, and we're always trying to see what's out there, and to promote it and to showcase it as much as we can. And yours is beautiful, honey. It really is.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So all of those out there that don't know who you are, if you could introduce yourself and just a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. So I'm Catarina, or Catarina, however you want to say it. I actually am the writer of A Portuguese Affair, which is a blog I started about a year and a half ago after I moved to the U.S. So my situation was I'd moved to the U.S. I had married an American man. My green card was taking a really long time to come through. And I'm not one to sit still. So I just kind of was like, nope, I have to do something with my time. I'm going to write a blog. And I had a bunch of American friends and friends from the UK as well coming to Portugal about 6 months, after I started writing the blog. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if they had a great resource of, things to do and places to see in Portugal. So that was kind of the logic behind it. I mean, I'm very proud to be Portuguese, in case it wasn't clear. And I just kind of had to have an outlet for that. And I thought, I love writing. I love reading. I love learning. So I just thought a blog was like the great kind of solution and, that outlet that I needed. So, but to answer your question, Angela, because I'm living in Philadelphia at the moment, and I do write a lot about Portugal. So I try to go back, several times a year to do all the research. And when I'm there, I'm just kind of like a tourist on speed, because morning to night, I drag my mom around. My dad can't even keep up. My mom comes out to all the museums, all the locations, all the palaces, everything with me. So I kind of drag her around. We have a great time together. My husband doesn't even try to keep up anymore either. So the men stay behind a lot of the time. Other times they'll come out, if it's like somewhere nice for the day, like an afternoon in Abidos or whatever.
Where in Portugal, Catarina?
Where am I from?
Yes, where are you from?
I'm from Lisbon. So unlike most people in most of the Portuguese community in the U.S. is actually from either northern Portugal or from the Azores, for example. I'm actually from Lisbon. So it makes me a little bit different, because I don't have that kind of Azorean heritage that a lot of, people like you do, Maria. So
no, we're all Portuguese. Absolutely. 500 years ago, that's where, we came to settle in the Azores. So we're all the same.
Yeah. And I love the Azores. I mean, I think they're beautiful. And, my husband loves them, and he's just like, he's almost like, can we move there? Because it's kind of that halfway point between the U.S. and Portugal. So it's nice in that sense. And
your family still lives there? Are you the only one here now? Or, yes.
I am the only one here. My sister's in the UK, but apart from that, my whole entire family is in Portugal. So it's great going back, so I get to see them, but then I'm always rushing around trying to get more content for the blog and trying new restaurants. And it's such a hard life when I'm there.
Oh my God, real rough. I feel so sorry for you, Catarina.
I
know. It's so funny that you were saying you were a tourist on speed when you're there. Because sometimes I feel like that when I go to the Azores as well. And I think it's because we have a certain amount of days that we're there, and we don't want to waste a moment of it. So
exactly.
It's like the following day, we know already what we're going to do the next day, because we want to make sure we cram everything in as much as we can. But lately, I don't know about you, but lately I've been getting a lot of messages, a lot of people who are going to visit saying, do you have like an itinerary that you suggest for us for the first time going to the Azores, or an itinerary for us if we're going to Lisbon or Portugal or whatever, or, if they're going up to Porto and Lisbon, or, what are the must-dos or must-haves? Where should we eat? And it's like, oh my God, but I'm getting a lot of that lately.
Send them my way. I get that sometimes, but it's more not a whole itinerary. Nobody's ever asked me for anything like that. So, I mean, Did you tell them you're not a tour guide?
I did.
Okay.
The funny thing is I say to them, I said, I'm sorry, personally, this is when I go, this is what the things that I do, but, I'm also seeing family. I don't have a specific itinerary that I would suggest you to do, but I would suggest you to go here, there, but I'm not setting up tours to go
Right.
to islands as well as to the mainland. But I can see that more and more non-Portuguese, or as well as those that they're now third or fourth generation that have never been there before,
Right.
and want to kind of rediscover their roots, wanting to go back. And I see that more and more. So I think your blog is perfect for that. I mean, especially for the continent.
Yeah, I try to make it very diverse in terms of, I don't want just food or just castles or just beaches or hotels. I try to, and I take like little things because, a lot of the things people remember about Portugal, they remember the big sceneries, like the beautiful like landscapes and all that. But it's actually, a lot of times I hear people say, we have the best chorizo at this little place in Coimbra, or, and it's kind of, I want to capture those moments as well, because it isn't just about the overall picture. I think it's nice to have those little insider tips as well when you go for something that may or may not be relevant to every single reader, but, it's still like a great piece of insight to those who are planning to go to Coimbra or wherever the case may be.
Right.
So
right.
That's what I'm trying to capture, the little moments as well as kind of, the big things.
That just sounds great. So again, I think now maybe you might even have to go back more often just to get more insight for people. What is that? How does that sound?
It sounds like a dream come true. I mean, I try to go back if possible. I just wish someone like TAP would decide to sponsor me with some free flights every year so I could go and do that as often as I could. So
there's someone from TAP out there who's listening to this.
Yeah.
We've got someone who's willing to go out to the mainland to do a whole bunch of stuff on tourism. Get on it. Give us a call.
The great thing, yeah, absolutely. But the great thing is now, they do that kind of layover thing. So if you are going to, for example, the Azores, you can actually stop off like 3 days in Lisbon or Porto, up to 3 days free of charge. Did you know that?
I did hear that.
Yeah, so I think that's great.
I think that's fantastic.
You get to see so much of Portugal. You get to try, see different places that you wouldn't normally go to. If you want to spend a night, you spend a night. If you want to spend 3, you spend 3. It's great.
That's beautiful. That would be nice to do. Maybe I'll be doing that. Hey, I'm fine with that too. And on another hand, you were just in Bermuda. I mean, we talk about going to the mainland and you're writing on that, but lately you've been writing about the Portuguese community in Bermuda. You were just there, not this past weekend, was it?
It was just, this weekend, Saturday through Monday. So just 48 hours, but it was supposed to be a break from work, and I found more work or found more topics to write about. So I couldn't believe it. I'm like everywhere I go.
I've never been to Bermuda. I have to say that. I've never been. I've had my family members who've been to Bermuda. I have not been there. So tell us about Bermuda for those of us who've never been there and how you found it in the Portuguese community there.
Yeah, so I was really surprised that, at least like 10% of local Bermudians actually have some sort of Portuguese heritage, mostly Azorean heritage, because a lot of laborers went there to, work in farming, and they stayed on, and, their children were born there, and they actually had quite a tough time up until, I would say 40 years ago when, they kind of won their rights because they weren't legally supposed to be there. They were supposed to leave. But now there's like this whole vibrant Portuguese community, and you can see Portuguese influences on menus. Like I saw like things like Portuguese stew or Portuguese chorizo or, like a special Portuguese sauce. And it's just all these like little things. So definitely in the food, there's associations as well, which kind of, obviously all the Portuguese people abroad all support their teams, their soccer teams. So there's always like all the sports stuff, and there's, but there's also like cultural and language classes as well that they help promote, which is great to keep, everything alive.
Yeah, and who would have known that we have such a large community of Portuguese in Bermuda, which is beautiful.
Who are living the life.
On an island, on a beautiful tropical island. In the meantime, I know that on your site, you sell some Portuguese jewelry.
Yes.
And I noticed in Bermuda, you took a picture of these cufflinks, the cufflinks on this man. Are you going to be carrying that? Those were great. It was the Portuguese flag and cufflinks. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see that one. I'll have to go take a look.
Those were neat.
Yeah, I mean, it was so funny because I met a Portuguese Bermudian out there, and he was wearing those cufflinks. I'm like, I'm taking a picture of this for my blog, so I kind of just assaulted him almost. Like, it's like, just stand there, don't move, because he already had his arms crossed. I took the picture, and I was like, just don't move. You're going on my blog. He had no say in the matter. I just, I saw it, and I took the opportunity. So. I unfortunately only sell filigree jewelry on the blog, and for those of you who aren't familiar with filigree jewelry, it's kind of very typical Portuguese style of jewelry that's handmade by kind of spinning silver or traditionally gold wire into beautiful shapes, and there's lots of hearts, there's kind of beads, there's all these flower motifs, so it's very beautiful, very ornate jewelry. And I just started wearing, this is a fun fact, I actually got my ears pierced when I was 26 years old.
Oh wow.
Because I got tired of buying beautiful earrings, like filigree earrings, for friends and family and not being able to wear them myself. So that's why I did it.
At 26, that is that's not your typical. That isn't your typical.
No, but because a lot of them, traditionally in Portugal, you pierce like baby girls' ears, like when they're born, And my mom resented the fact that she never got a say in the fact I'm getting her ears pierced. So she's like, I'm going to wait till my daughters are old enough to make a decision. And, and then I was never interested in it. By the time it was allowed, I lost interest, obviously. So she's like, we can get your ears pierced now. I'm like, well, now I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, of course, my sisters and I when we were infants, we all had our ears pierced. And when I had my daughters, my first daughter, and now, with all three, I did the same as your mom. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it when they're babies. I'm going to have them, when they're ready to have it done, they're going to have it done. And they were all very young. They were like around, I want to say 8 or 9. Like they weren't even teenage. They already wanted earrings, which is kind of cute. And my one daughter now that has added on extra piercings on her ears. So it keeps, but they were young. They were young. So to think that like 26, it's like, wow, you're like a late bloomer.
I don't know. I feel like I made such a big decision when I did it. I don't know why. It's like, yeah. And actually my sister hasn't gotten her ears pierced. She just has one like all the way at the top of like her ear on one side, but she doesn't actually have her lobes pierced. So it was kind of nice that we got the choice because, she chose not to. Yeah. She chose
not to. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, in the meantime, for those that do have their ears pierced, absolutely check out your page, and we'll make sure we put that on our notes and how to go on there and all that stuff and see it. The earrings are beautiful. They're just beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, what I love about the filigree, it's so unique to Portugal. I mean, you just don't see that anywhere else, really. So it's very easy to spot, right? Like if you see somebody wearing a filigree, even if it's not in the shape of the heart of Vienna, I'll still say, you got that in Portugal, didn't you? Because you just can't really find it anywhere else. It's really pretty. I love it.
Yeah. I love that, because then sometimes people just stop you and they're like, I know those earrings, or you stop them. You're like, I know that.
Yeah.
Now, with your mom still being in the mainland in Lisbon, when you go back home, what do you ask your mom to make? Because we always have to go back to food here.
Oh my gosh. My mom, I don't actually have to ask her. She asked me what I want her to make. But so there's like a long list of foods. That's why I tend to go for like at least a week. But there's
Mhm.
certain foods that she, like her caldo verde for me is amazing. She makes these like lulas with like a lula, like a squid stew with
Mhm.
potato and tomatoes and stuff. It's so good. She makes, she makes some great desserts, and she's kind of a terrible person to get recipes from, but she does it well when she is doing it for herself, and then I just try to follow along and take notes. But I always ask her to buy me some requeijão, which is like a soft kind of cottage cheese like, but
Right.
it doesn't taste like cottage cheese. It's so much better.
Oh, like the ricotta, the closest to ricotta.
Kind of, yeah. Kind
Yeah.
of. I don't know what it is. It's like a little saltier. It's so easy. It's perfect on bread. I always have to have fresh bread, which my parents, being Portuguese, have fresh bread every day in their house, so it's not an issue. But I always get some queijo de ilha because I miss it. And Maria, because you took me out shopping for queijo de ilha.
Yes.
So
How did you enjoy those things?
I enjoyed it a lot. And actually, funny story, I went into work one day and I made myself a sandwich, and one of the ingredients in there was that cheese.
Mhm.
And I put it in my backpack and just put it on the floor. And before I knew it, I looked down and my boss had brought his dog into work that day, and the dog was like head in my sandwich,
Oh my God.
70% of my sandwich, which had like some like really nice steak and some other stuff in it. It was like a perfect like decadent sandwich with this rich cheese and really nice steak and other stuff. And like this dog just ate it all. And
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, the thing I was most upset about wasn't the fact that the steak was actually quite pricey. It was the fact that it was the cheese that I got from, up in Massachusetts. I was like, I went up to Massachusetts to get that cheese. But I just thought the story was so funny. Like, it was just such a weird situation that I was like, I got to laugh.
Well, what's funny? Well, the thing is Angela, well, when Catarina came here, we cooked together, we baked, and we had some time because she actually flew in that morning and then had some hours that she was here before she would fly back to Philadelphia. So we had a few hours time, and I thought, okay, if you're here, you need to go to a Portuguese market. I need to take you there. And the Portuguese market that has like so many different things, and it's a huge market, and it's in Fall River. It's about 20 minutes away. So we drove to Fall River to Portugalia Market, and then it was almost like Catarina hadn't seen anything quite like it in a while. And she was like a little kid
like
in
a kid in a candy store.
Yes, absolutely. She was like so excited, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And it's for me, it's like I'm really spoiled because I have this around me all the time. It's not a big deal to drive here or to go there or just go around the corner and pick up Portuguese stuff. But for those that, like live in Philadelphia and just there is no Portuguese market around, this is like incredible. So we were going through everything, and she wanted to bring back everything, but she only had a backpack.
The same backpack that the dog got into.
Oh my God. So it was the Queijo São Jorge, the 7 month. The 7 month.
7 month. What a lucky dog.
That was a lucky dog. That he has wonderful taste.
He's going to be your best friend. He's going to come look in your bag every time now.
Yeah, she has.
Did your boss at least buy you lunch that day?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
He was so embarrassed. I was like, I mean, I can't really blame this dog. If someone put that sandwich in front of me, I would have eaten it too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it was so funny because you're like, oh my God, there's a cheese here. Oh my goodness, there's this. There's this chorizo.
Yes.
How was the chorizo?
Oh, so it was Mother's Day a few days after I left. So I actually saved it, and I guess barbecued it in a little assador.
Yeah.
Like the special Portuguese, for those of you that don't know, these like clay Portuguese kind of small like utensil things where you kind of light the bottom, you set it on fire. Usually you put like some whiskey and stuff in it for flavor, and then you set it on fire and the chorizo goes on top and it just cooks in that awesome flame, and it's magical. So I usually do that as a starter, and we did that for Mother's Day this year and everybody loved it.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I willingly shared that one.
No, that was great. That was a great thing. So now in Philadelphia, there is no Portuguese, is there? Nothing. But there's Italian markets, isn't there?
There's an Italian market, but there's no Portuguese things there because I've even asked about like Portuguese olives, Portuguese chorizo, and they have like Spanish, they have like Greek, they have Italian. So that's in the Italian market. I know there's like a bit of a very small Portuguese community just across the river in New Jersey.
Yes.
And so I'm going to try to go there one day. And there's a few Portuguese restaurants. So I've gone there before and actually ate pretty well. So I feel like there must be some sort of location where I can find Portuguese.
I think there's actually another market out there called the same as the one in Fall River. I think it's also called
Portugalia.
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's different owners, but if I'm not mistaken, I'm positive I saw something in New Jersey that was called that as well. So,
okay, in New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, in New Jersey. Yeah, I'm positive I had seen something. And for those that are listening and are in New Jersey, if you could send Angela and I some different places that Catarina can go to when she's there, or if anything in Philadelphia that we're not aware of, to just let us know, because that's one of the things we'll need to start doing, Angela. We'll need to start doing a by state where Portuguese stores are at.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
A couple of things. I have been to Portugalia in New Jersey, and it's more of like you can buy dishes and like products there. It's not really like a food market at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then, so there is an existing online database. It's kind of always in being updated, but Palcus has something called the Gateway. So if you go to palcus.org, and along the top bar, you'll see the Gateway, and that's an online database of Portuguese businesses throughout the country. And you can look up like bakery, restaurant, winery, or even like dance group or Philharmonica, something like that. So check that out. And if you don't find what you're looking for there, if people can send us names or submit your listing to the Gateway, it's free. It's free to use and it's free to list. So that's the most comprehensive database we have so far nationally. There used to be, I remember when I worked for Palcus, we got a copy of the Portuguese phone book from Massachusetts, and I was so jealous because I'm like, oh my God, the fact that there's so many businesses that merits a phone book. So many Portuguese businesses that merits a phone book. Like we would only dream of having something like that in California. So,
right.
So give that a try. But I don't know of any in Philadelphia. But there's
definitely
online.
A Portuguese community though in California, like San Francisco and some other areas have like a Portuguese community.
Oh, for sure. It's just we're so spread out. We're not concentrated like you guys are on the East Coast. And then the stores where you can buy things are, so there's one in San Jose. There's a small liquor store in Fremont where you can buy some products. There's one way down in Artesia. So it's all kind of spread out. So you almost have to plan a trip to go stock up and then, get what you need. So
that's how I feel about going to like, say, Newark, where I know there's a lot of Portuguese stores and things. So I'm actually going to be up in Newark in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to bring extra bags this time and kind of stock up. And then probably I'll have my next trip to Portugal, not too long, maybe in July. So I kind of go then and stock up.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll be visiting your family for the summer, won't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now
let me ask you this. Now, of course, your husband, is he Portuguese or not?
He's American.
He is. Okay.
But nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
He's Portuguese by association, so
There you
it's
go.
okay.
Well, as I say, my husband is English Irish, so of course, but he is sometimes he's convinced my whole family he's Portuguese because he has just embraced it all. And being married for 32 years now, he's as Portuguese as it gets for being non-Portuguese.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
And but is there now? My husband loves everything about being. I mean, whatever it has to do with being Portuguese, our food, our culture, he loves it all. So he loves the food. And is there something special that your husband likes, or that you make for him that he really loves, or your mother makes for him?
Right. I mean, he actually really likes that squid dish that I mentioned. But I mean, he loves seafood. He's not big on fish, so he'll eat certain things like, because I'm like, oh my God, I could eat bacalhau all day long, and he'll have it in some ways. He'll have like pataniscas or different, kind of hidden cod, not like very like a steak of cod. He's not going to really go near that. But if you give him like polvo, I mean, he's the one who wanted to try lapish for the first time,
Really?
So he's the one who convinced me. Yeah. So
He
he's
likes
very
crickets.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, he loves them. He's like, and then, and he tried them for the first time in São Miguel, where you're from. And then we went to Madeira on our honeymoon, and he had them there as well. He was ordering them. And we just love it.
Yeah. Raw or grilled?
Oh, grilled.
Grilled, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do people like them raw?
Yes.
Yeah. Can't do that.
Yeah, just like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can't do that either. I know. Sorry, guys. For those that like to eat it, no matter how, I'm sorry, but they do. They just like putting like hot pepper on it or squeezing lemon on it, and that's
Right.
it.
Yep, the lemon. Yeah.
Yeah, just like oysters, that kind of thing. And then it's just like, whoop, that's it, done. Oh no,
Yeah.
but
Not for me.
not for me. No,
Yeah.
not for me either. So with all of this, what does your husband think of your Portuguese blog and what you're doing and yeah, all of the stuff? What does he think of all
He's
this?
super supportive. I mean, he's like, this is great. This is very good information. I think he might read maybe half my posts, so which is pretty good going, given how busy he is, or I know he is. So, and he definitely learns that. I think my biggest challenge with him is it's not the fact he loves Portugal. I mean, he had never been to Portugal before he met me.
Yeah.
But he'd been to Spain, for example, which is what a lot of Americans kind of think when they, they're like, oh, Portugal and Spain, it's just Spain, like they don't think Portugal is special in any way. And he'd been to Spain, I think a couple of times before, and then he went to Portugal and was like, wow, this is so much better than Spain. Why do Americans like going to Spain so much when they could go to Portugal? So he was very supportive of me, kind of,
we already love
Portugal. Yeah, he's like, I love this,
Angela and I already love your husband, so that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely very, very American, but he's really good about like the Portugal thing. I think because I'm so proud, and it's almost like a little overwhelming for him. He takes it in really good stride. He's like, okay, yeah, we know Portugal's great. And, he can insult me in my mother tongue if I'm acting crazy or whatever. So he does me that favor every once in a while. So.
But you know what? I think it's wonderful. I really do. I think it's wonderful. I think you either need to be all in it or not. If you're going to be passionate about something, you're going to be passionate about it. I don't think there's anything going halfway. You don't do things. I don't think we do things halfway, do we? I don't. No. I
think we only do things halfway when you have to do them, but we don't want to do them.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Because if we're passionate about it, there is no way we're doing it halfway. This is how it's going to be. No, but this is great. I mean, I think again, I'm going to go back to what we're doing here and what we want to promote, and that is, promoting all that is Portuguese and what's important to us. And I think all three of us feel the same way. And that is, we're very proud of being who we are. And we will shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we see no harm in being overly zealous about being Portuguese and who we are. I had a conversation the other day with someone, and we were talking about Portuguese food. And I said to them, I said, the whole thing about Portuguese food is, we're a very old, after Athens, the oldest European nation was out of Lisbon. That's the oldest second capital is Lisbon. It's Athens, Greece. It's Lisbon, Portugal. I said it was not Rome in Italy. It was us. And so they were going on. And I said, we were the first for this. We were the first for that. And we were this, we're that. And so she started kind of stopped me and she went, I hear this a lot from Portuguese people. When they say how, you do it the best.
Oh my God.
You're
so
this,
true.
you're that. And I had to stop. And then I just started laughing. And I said, I am, I want to apologize, but at the same time, I'm not going to, because
I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry. No.
Oh my gosh, you've just described me, because I'm always like, I don't know why. Someone mentions like something random and they're like, I'm going to Japan or something on vacation. I'm like, oh, that's great. Did you know the Japanese word arigato comes from the Portuguese obrigado? And they're just like, do you have to always bring up Portugal in every conversation? I'm like,
I would
sorry.
bring up tempura. I would say tempura. Did you know that tempura was really the Portuguese who were the ones who did that?
Exactly.
I often feel like the father or the grandfather it's the father in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yes.
Everything is Greek. Yes, everything is Portuguese.
Yeah.
For sure. So Catarina, we still haven't gotten to some of our key questions that we normally ask some of our guests, and I'm interested to hear your perspective on this question, being that you're from Portugal but now are living here in the U.S. And I have to say, you have no Portuguese accent, so I don't know if you worked on that specifically or that just evolved. But it's like, for only being here a short time, it's you have no accent, so that's pretty cool. What does it mean to you to be Portuguese?
Oh, good question. So I always like to think of being Portuguese as being part of like the world's best like private members club, if you will.
I love that.
Like, I think it's part of being in this great community of people throughout the world. Like, I don't know if you've been abroad and randomly met another Portuguese person, then you're both like, oh, you're Portuguese too? And then you just like get a free ride or get a free meal or
like instant camaraderie. Yeah.
It's like you don't even need to pay a membership. You're just born into it. And if you're, it's so great. And we help each other out, and it's just so nice. It's what you can get from like a small country. I mean, I feel like if you're from such a populous nation as the U.S., then it's not the same thing. It's kind of like, they're like, oh, cool, I'm from, the U.S. too. And, you have this thing and you have drinks together. But it's so different when you're Portuguese because there's less of you, first of all, so you're more exclusive as a group. But also there's just this whole weird affinity that you're just like, what can I do for you?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's kind of what being Portuguese is.
I love it.
No, it's definitely true, because no matter where you go, if it's another state, another country, or whatever, like you said, as soon as you find out if somebody's Portuguese, there's this instant, it's almost like kismet or something. There's this instant connection, like you automatically trust that person more, you automatically want to like hang out with that, I'm going to get along with this person more than anybody else around. Or
is that totally weird?
Yeah.
You're saying that. The other day I did a talk for a group. I was a private group asked me to come in and talk to their organization. So I went in and I'm talking and so forth and so on. And one in the beginning, I asked before I went into it too deep. I said, in this room, who is Portuguese? Who is of Portuguese ancestry. And of course, their hands go up. And I looked over at them and I'm like all smiles and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm like, primas. It's like, this is like.
Everybody is.
And everybody is. That's exactly it. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's a great number of you here. We're all in it together here. And I do see that. I think we're all interconnected somehow, which is wonderful. This is a wonderful thing. And I think that's why and I can speak for me and I can speak for Angela and you in the same way that we all feel very passionate about being Portuguese. So I think it comes with our territory for us.
Yeah. Well, you immediately know you have like somebody who supports what you believe in as well. You're like, you're Portuguese too? Oh, we can be friends. We have the same interests,
And so another thing that we like to ask is, so we already asked you, what what you would have your mom make you, but what is your first food memory? What is one of the first things either you can remember eating or that you remember your mom making you? What's your...
I would probably say like maybe canchas galinha, like Portuguese chicken soup. And I actually made some last night, so it's something that I make on a regular basis anyway, because it's one of those foods I think that you have, on a normal day, but you also have when you're sick. And it's definitely like kind of got that healing quality. So it has that special kind of feeling that you're just like, oh, it's okay. It's like comforting. It's, there's something homey about it from a homemade chicken soup. Yeah. Not a canned chicken soup.
The ultimate warm and cozy feeling.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is a canja you're absolutely right. It's when you were sick because it had that egg in it. You know what I mean? That everything.
I never had egg.
Oh, yours never had egg in it?
No.
Oh, we have an egg that goes into the broth after.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea.
And
I've only had egg and tomato soup.
Oh, no, there's an egg in canja too. My mom would put an egg in canja. So you had that in the broth, and so it would help you because it gives you more protein, the whole bit of making you stronger and all that. But besides being a comfort food and making you feel better, it was also what they would serve in weddings, like for celebration. It was a concept.
You would kill a chicken for special occasions.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I love that brings back really great memories is my grandmother used to make this mocha cake with bolacha Maria. And she used to make that for me. Yeah. So it's kind of the way children start getting into coffee when they're very young. Like, here, it's just a mocha cake. It has coffee in it, but it's not too much coffee. It's diluted. And then they slowly become addicted. But that cake's really good. It's super sweet, but delicious.
Well, what's funny is, and everyone's like, well, that's why it stunted your growth. And I'm like, no, it did not stunt my growth. My mother was just as tall as I am. So it's, but we've been drinking coffee. I've been drinking coffee since I can remember.
Yeah. I mean, go to the Portuguese hall and do the coffee with lots of milk and sugar because it was almost like chocolate milk.
Yes.
It was so good. Yeah.
And the same thing with drinking wine. I've had wine since I was little. There's the little bit, you always have like a little bit of wine. For Sunday, you always had like a little bit of a glass or a little like half of, almost like those jelly glasses or like a small little bit amount of would be wine.
Like your grandparents would sneak it to you?
No, it was already open. There was no sneaking around. It was right there on the table.
I was not allowed that.
Really? You weren't allowed that?
No.
No, that was it. My mom, my grandparents, my parents. Oh yeah, and it's funny because now my oldest daughter is she's 30 and my girls are in their 20s. And when they were little, it'd be like, okay, girls, when they got to the age where, they knew what drinking was and all that stuff, it'd be like, okay, girls, come on, have some wine here. Have it here at home. And they'd be like, no, I don't want the wine. I'd be like, come on, just try the wine. Will you try the wine, please? Just try it so that you can, and it would be like, I'm trying to force them to drink wine. And I'm like, okay, I got to stop doing that. And then later on later on in the years, my girls, who are now of drinking age and all of that stuff, would say, no one ever pressured me to drink. No one except my mother. Because when we were little, I wanted them to try it out, like, get it over with, get it out of the way, and because it's not that important.
So funny.
Yeah, it's not that important. I didn't want it to be an important thing that you would sneak around for or whatever. It's just a matter of fact.
Right.
But no, I always had that, even for little. Angela, how about you, honey? Did you have wine when you were growing up?
It wasn't like an everyday thing, but again, drinking, and like, it wasn't made to be a taboo thing. If we wanted to try something, or if we wanted to, to see what it tasted like, or going to the Portuguese Hall, I remember we'd go to the bar and like ask for a Coke, and the bartender would be like, "Just Coke? No queres rum?" Like, and you're like, 11, and maybe he was joking, maybe not, but it's just one of those things where it was never prohibited, really. Obviously we didn't get drunk, but to your point, Maria, and I think we've talked about this before, by the time I got to high school or even college, and my friends were just going wild because they were free and now they could drink as much as they wanted. Like, for me, it was not that big of a deal, and I just, the whole drinking to get drunk thing was never appealing to me, because frankly, the first time I got drunk, I was 13. And it was in front of in front of my parents, and my mom laughed at me, and it's not something I'll never forget, because it didn't feel that great. And so again, it was kind of like, hey guys, been there, done that. And I think the more you make something taboo and restrictive, the more like people want it, and they go crazy because they don't know how to control themselves when they finally get it.
And I think that's why in Portugal there's less of that kind of, because 16-year-olds are drinking beer and it's not an issue, whereas here it's like, it's crazy that I get ID'd going into a bar or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not a child.
Right. Right.
Not a glass of wine, why? And I don't go crazy. And like like you said, a lot of your friends were going crazy when they finally had that freedom, but it's just not a thing. And I think in Portugal, people also drink wine and beer mostly. They just kind of stick to the kind of lower kind of alcohol kind of levels than they're not drinking vodkas as much, or, whiskeys and bourbons and all that. So it's a very different drinking culture.
Yeah, definitely.
So I happened to be going through some of your old blog posts, and you had written something, like one of your very first ones, about gin and how it had become really popular in Lisbon, or maybe all of Portugal. And so I didn't notice that it had become very popular as a drink. Like, everybody was drinking gin tonica. But then the glasses have gotten huge.
They're enormous.
Why is it that you get a fishbowl of gin and tonic as a drink? I mean, like, nobody can drink that much. At least I can't in no sitting, Like, do you know
you
why?
Totally can.
So, I mean, what other cocktails are becoming popular over there?
Craft beers are becoming like a big thing there now. I think that's the latest trend. But I think with the huge glass, you were saying, like, why do they have such a big fishbowl for a glass? The places I would go to are kind of, they give you like a big glass, and they only fill it like maybe a third or a quarter of the way up, but they put all these like cool spices and like cinnamon and strawberries and all these cool things in it. Lots of ice, and it's very kind of slow drinking, and it looks like a really big glass, and it's definitely like a good sized drink, but it's not, you're not drinking a third of a bottle of gin in one glass, it's not that bad, but they put a lot of other cool stuff in it. And obviously there's a tonic that tops it up. So, but yeah, so I think gin was really in a couple years ago. And I think this year the thing is craft beers and like microbreweries, which are like really big here in the US, are starting to become really big in Portugal. So I don't know what's up for next year, but I'm excited to see.
Yeah, because cocktails aren't something that they typically did, like mixed drinks. Because I remember we would go there, and like if you said, "Oh, can I have a gin gimlet?" they had no idea what that was, or a black Russian. They didn't know what that was. Mojito, yeah, or
And caipirinha.
yeah, they would know. But I don't know. If you go on my Facebook page, you could see me holding a big gin and tonic, and it's bigger than my hand. It's so it's huge.
I want to make sure I inform you that again, when I went to St. Michael again, there was still a lot of gin drinks that they were pushing. So, and that was just this few months ago. They were still pushing gin, and of course I come back, and my husband, I tell my husband, the thing, because he loves a gin and tonic, and he's like, you know what, I'm going to make gin. So he's making gin right now as we speak.
Oh yeah. So we did it once. So we did it once. Let me know how it turns out, Maria, because we did it once here. Adrian bought me a gin making kit. And it turned out horrible. Maybe we just didn't do it the right way, but
we bought the oh my God, what are the berries there?
Juniper, no?
You had to buy the juniper berries, cardamom seeds. I already had some peppercorns. It was some cinnamon stick, some lemon rind. Oh my goodness, what else was it? It was like a little bit of something else in the grain alcohol. And it's been in there now for a week. And this weekend, my daughter is, I have a few parties coming on. My daughter Sarah's graduation party, we're celebrating it this weekend. And we're celebrating my daughter Erica's bridal shower is going to be this weekend. So Bob is getting the gin ready, his homemade gin ready, some cigars and some other stuff for the men to kind of be drinking and smoking their cigars outside.
Oh my gosh.
He's getting it all planned. So I will definitely let you know how this homemade gin comes out. But yeah, it smelled beautiful. I mean, the juniper berries smelled wonderful. And
have you had licor verão?
Oh yes, my husband's favorite drink. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get her a bottle. We're gonna get Maria a bottle.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's a Portuguese liqueur, and it's made from 14 different ingredients, like seeds and spices and stuff like that. And I was actually fortunate enough to go visit the Licor Verão factory at Christmas time and see all the ingredients. And it's such a special process. There's ladies who work at the factory, and I don't know if you remember, Angela, but the bottles come with a little ribbon, and they're hand tied by one of these ladies, and they do thousands a day. Yeah. So every bottle has been touched by a human being. It's nothing, mass produced in the, fill it up and go and pack and sell. It still has that human touch, and the water they use is from the mountains just next to them, next to the farm where they have some of the crops that they use for the ingredients. So it's an amazing process, but also the liqueur is very sweet, and I like to drink it with some ice and an orange peel. I don't know if that's how you drink it, Angela, but that's by far for me the best way to drink it.
Yeah, no. So it's not my favorite. It's my husband's favorite though. So he drinks it a lot over ice. I don't think he's ever tried it with an orange peel. I'll have to
try it. Yeah, it'll bring out the orange flavors really, really nicely.
And where is the factory? Because maybe we could go tour that the next time we go.
It's sort of in very central Portugal in a little town called Lawton, and it's not too far from Tomar, Coimbra sort of area.
Oh, okay.
So very central Portugal. They don't do tours, so you would have to ask if you can go. I can put you in touch with the people, but it's not an open kind of to the public thing. But it's still a family-run business, which is amazing. And so this is just one of the many things I love about Portugal. There's still all these amazing family-run businesses, and everything's very hands-on and organic, and I love it.
Yeah, I agree. You were talking about everything being touched by hand, and it's the same thing when you go still to San Miguel and a lot of the places. It's all done by hand. It's still all done by hand, whether it's at the tea factory, the tea plantation, and the women are going through the tea leaves to make sure the broken leaf tea is going to be this here or there, and they're still packaging by hand, down to the liqueur factory where, they're same thing. The women or men are, putting together the stuff, and down to the Queijada de Villafranca, which is literally done by hand. And I just found out in the summertime, they produce 22,000 queijadas a day.
Wow.
That's a lot of queijadas. Imagine that. So I still love it.
And by hand.
By hand. So there is, I love that. I love that everything is still, that we still have that, that we still have that in the mainland.
So when we talk about what do we have so much to be proud about, and it's like, well, everything. Well, not everything, but like a lot of things.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, we could go on. And you know what?
Yeah.
And I just looked at the time, and we've hit over an hour.
I know.
We were interrupted at points, so.
We were interrupted a couple of times. We were. So we really can't say we've gone over an hour. That's right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because it's funny because we had said before, we usually like to give ourselves an hour or a little bit under an hour, but we usually go over an hour. And we were not kidding.
We had a good conversation.
Exactly. No, but this was wonderful.
It's a lot of fun.
I enjoyed our time together. I hope that for those of you that are listening, that you'll go on to Catarina's page. Catarina, your page, where they can find you on Facebook is?
It's A Portuguese Affair. So facebook.com/A Portuguese Affair.
And Instagram, they can follow you on?
Same, A Portuguese Affair.
Okay. And so it's at A Portuguese Affair.
Yes.
So for those of you that have not seen her page or have not seen her pictures on Instagram, you need to do that. They are beautiful. And it'll make you want to go back to Portugal and to visit. And it just shows this beautiful parts of what is ours and why we're so proud of what we are. And it's our food, it's our culture, it's the people. And we make no qualms about it, do we, ladies?
No, not at all.
Not at all. And we're very proud of who we are. So for all of that, thank you, Catarina, for being our guest today. We really appreciated you being on and taking the time to be here.
Thank you so much for having me. I love girly conversations about, food and drinks and being Portuguese. So
it's all good. It's all good stuff.
I love this.
Yes. So, and we look forward to reading more on your blog and can't wait for your trips back again so we can see some more and learn some more. So,
thank you.
Yeah, all great things. And hopefully we'll all get to see each other soon again. And maybe we'll cook again soon. And you're always welcomed here too.
Thank you. Likewise. Please let me have the opportunity to cook for either of you or both of you.
That'd be awesome.
I'm trying to get better at Portuguese cooking, so need to practice.
You'll get it. It's in your DNA. All right, ladies. Well, thank you again. And thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was a very nice talk, wasn't it?
She's so sweet. I mean, we should have known, right? Because
of course,
just reading her blog, and she's Portuguese, right? But no, it's a beautiful blog. It's a really awesome, a lot of awesome content there. And no, she's doing great work. She's kicking butt.
She is kicking butt. And what's funny is, it was really cute. Like I said in the beginning, I had her here at home, and she was just like, just exactly as she was talking on the phone. It was like, all of things Portuguese and about her mom, her dad, and her sister, the just the love that she has for being who she is, and trying to like share it and kind of tell everybody around the world exactly, what it is that they're all missing out. If you've never been to Portugal, kind of thing. And she's just the cutest thing. So
what a great way for her to be able to continue to share her love of Portugal through the blog, even though she's living here, and married to an American. And so kind of like you, like you're be able to translate your love into, sharing it with the world, which is awesome.
Right.
So I would say if everybody listening, if you haven't checked out her blog yet, A Portuguese Affair, you really have to, especially if you're going to be going to Portugal, because she has some great recommendations and has profiled some really cool restaurants and markets. And
especially if you're going off to mainland anytime soon, she would be definitely the person to follow up with. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's one more in the books.
Yay!
One more podcast down.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it. We've had these amazing guests on all the time, and Angela and I are enjoying every minute of it. And I hope you are too. So in that, we say, até a próxima, querida.
Até a próxima.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks again for listening to our Portuguese Table podcast.
If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do so on SoundCloud or iTunes.
And all episodes can be found on our website at www.ourportuguesetable.com.
You can also reach us at feedback@ourportuguesetable.com with comments, questions, or suggestions.
Até a próxima!